Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about my favorite family-friendly watches for spooky season. Don't worry if you are more interested in the horror stuff on this channel. I will have a video on that stuff very soon as well. This one is just going to focus on the family-friendly stuff though for today. So first up we have It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. I think that watching a Peanuts special for each of the holidays is just a must, especially with Halloween and Christmas. I think that this one is so fun and goofy and the best one on here for the youngest viewers. And then I have two more to talk about, Alvin and the Chipmunks Meet the Wolfman and Alvin and the Chipmunks Meet Frankenstein. These were a couple that I really loved growing up, and I think that they are good ones to pick if you want to show your child something more with the Universal monsters. I think they do a good job of representing those movies in both of these. And they also have a lot of really catchy songs, as did a lot of the Alvin and the Chipmunks stuff from this time period. Then the next two I want to talk about are Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island and Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. These were my favorite Scooby-Doo ones for sure when I was growing up. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is just the best one ever, in my opinion. I don't think there's a lot more to even go into detail on that. So many people choose this as their favorite. And then Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost was one that I loved as well. I definitely wanted to be one of the Hex Girls when I was young. So moving into the ones that were made for the big screen, three of these are Nightmare Before Christmas, Corpse Bride, and Coraline. Nightmare Before Christmas is one that is a classic and beloved by so many people, and I will double dip and watch this one in Christmas time as well, but I think that it works the best in Halloween, in my opinion. Then Corpse Bride, this one I've always really loved because of the fact that in the world of the living, all of the colors are very dismal, and then when they get to the land of the dead, it is so bright and colorful. I just thought that was really fun. And there's going to be another one on here that is similar to that as well. And then Coraline is my favorite of these three. I think that it is definitely the creepiest one when you have the other mother as well as the thought of sewing buttons into people's eyes. It's definitely creepy, and this one might be one that you want to think about before you show your kids. Just look into it. But you should really be doing that anytime that you are going to show your kids something, especially if you haven't seen it yet. At least read up on it. So then a couple other ones I want to talk about are Hotel Transylvania. And this one is another good one if you want to watch something that's more related to the Universal monsters. It is an Adam Sandler movie, and I love that. I love his stuff so much. So it's kind of fun watching a movie with all of him and his friends playing Universal monsters. And then the last one that I wanted to talk about is actually more for Day of the Dead, and that is Coco. This one is just absolutely stunning to look at, as are most things that come out of, Disney and Pixar both. And I think that the colors in the World of the Dead in this one are just so, so gorgeous. You get so many great neons. And I also get really misty-eyed in this movie every time I watch it. It never fails. It just has some really important and beautiful stuff in the story. So now we can move on to my live action picks, and the first few of these are going to be made for TV movies. So the first one that we have to talk about, and which is probably most everyone's favorite out of these, and that is Halloween Town. I think that this one is so important to people, especially in my generation, that were a little bit different, just like Marnie, that, enjoyed Halloween so much and liked just spooky stuff in general. That was definitely me when I was growing up, so this one always did speak to me. Then the next one I wanted to talk about is Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire. And I think that this one doesn't get talked about enough. It's, nowhere near as good as Halloween Town or anything like that, but it is a fun vampire story. And I actually kind of prefer to have a vampire story like this, as a lot of vampire movies that are geared for adults take a much more risque route. And I just kind of like that this one is completely friendly. And then the last one of the Disney Channel original movies, and the one that I actually like the most, is Phantom of the Megaplex. So I have just been such a big fan of cinema in general since I was very young. So this movie always worked for me very well. I think that the character Movie Mason, played by Mickey Rooney, is so awesome. And just, I think that that's exactly how I'm going to be when I'm old. Just a female version of that. And then I have one more that is made for TV, but this one is actually from The Wonderful World of Disney that was on ABC, and that is Tower of Terror. If you have not ever seen this one and you can find it somewhere, I know it's a little harder to find some of the made for TV ones on streaming, but this one is just so much fun. It's got some recognizable faces for sure, and I love the setting in the hotel. I also like that it is set on Halloween night in, I think, 3 different years, if I remember correctly. So then moving on to the ones that are made for the big screen, we have, of course, Hocus Pocus. No list would be complete without that movie. It is just a classic, and, the Sanderson sisters are iconic in their own right. So the next one I want to talk about is Casper, and this one is one that gets me misty-eyed as well. I think that it has a beautiful story to it, and I really like that it has Devon Sawa in here, since I am a big horror fan, obviously. Then I want to talk about The Haunted Mansion from 2003. Now, I did watch the remake that came out a couple of years ago for this one, and I thought it was okay, but I definitely will always prefer this original one. I think that the mansion itself is gorgeous, and a lot of the ghosts that we get are really cool looking. And I love the part with the mausoleum. I think it's so creepy. So another one I want to talk about is Goosebumps. I absolutely love Jack Black in the role of R.L. Stine for this movie. And, getting to have him be the voice of Slappy as well is really cool. I just like getting to see all of these different monsters from different Goosebumps books in here. And then another one I want to talk about is Scooby-Doo. I just have such a fun time with this one. Who doesn't want to go to not Zombie Island, Spooky Island? Honestly, it's such a cool set. And I think that Matthew Lillard does a really good job in this one as well. And I know he does voiceover work for Shaggy in a lot of different projects of Scooby-Doo, but I really just think that this one is more fully realized with him actually getting to be in the movie. So then the last one of these that are geared for a little bit younger of audience would be Beetlejuice. And I have to say, I don't entirely love this one. I think that it is good. I did rewatch it just for the first time in years a couple days ago, so I could do this list. And I think that it is kind of strange for sure. And I know that it is just such a classic to most people, so that's mainly why I'm putting it on this list. And then these last two are, one of them is PG and one of them is PG-13. However, the one that is PG did come out prior to the existence of PG-13, and I definitely think that if it were rated today, it would get PG-13 because it just has way more adult of themes in here. And so the first one is Ghostbusters. That one definitely has a lot of, things that went over my head as a child, but that definitely stick out as being kind of inappropriate now that I'm older and can pick that stuff out. But it is definitely a classic. I honestly love all the Ghostbusters films, so I would recommend all of them. However, if you only have time for one, obviously you want to pick the first one. And then the final movie that I wanted to talk about is Hubie Halloween. Again, I love Adam Sandler. I don't mind that he plays, a similar character in a lot of his films. it just works for me here. I think that it is fun and does have a lot of really cool aspects with Halloween in this one. So what did you think of this video? Did you agree with my choices, or would you have put other movies on this list? And chances are, if there are some big ones that I am missing in here, they might be ones that I have just never seen before. But let me know down in the comments about that and, recommend them to me if they are things that I haven't seen. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing if you haven't yet for more horror content. I do post 2 new videos each week. You can follow me on Instagram for updates on my channel as well as additional horror content. You can follow me on Letterboxd to see what I have been watching lately. I want to say thank you to everyone who has been supporting me so far. It doesn't go unnoticed. My name is Devin. This is Carpenter Hill. Thanks for watching.